way to see Princeton. Yay! Who's excited? Who's excited to see Princeton? Are you ready? The Ivy League. We're gonna see Princeton. Who's excited?
So,
welcome.
Congratulations on picking such a great day for this tour, and I hope you're going to have a wonderful time, all of you. My name is Barry Singer, and I'm a volunteer with the Historical Society. And after a long career in the financial business and on Wall Street, I retired about 7 or 8 years ago, and I've been doing this ever since, for about 7 years. I've been living in the Princeton area about 20 years, having come down here to work. And I understand that are you all from Queens? Is that
yes, Queens, New York.
Okay,
Yay!
so I'm just going to share a little something since there are young people here who are going to be going to school pretty soon. I'm just going to share a little story before we get started. I grew up in the Bronx myself, and I worked for many years on Wall Street as a young man, and you know what I discovered? All the young men and women that I met who were trying to get ahead in the world and make something of their lives, they all had this, most of them had this wonderful little rural town they were going to go back to after they made all their money and have a nice life. And I didn't have that because I was from the Bronx. So that's the kind of thing you should look at as you're in school and as you're have your first jobs. Where do you think you'd like to live? You know, later on in your life. And I was lucky in that I got to come down here to Princeton to work. And all of a sudden I found, okay, so this works for me. And I've been here for 20 years and I've been really enjoying it. So it's just a little offer. It's such a brilliant connection and such a strong connection to the history of America. And we'll be talking about that as we get over there. And have any of you folks taken courses in American history at this point?
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone has? Good, good. So there's a really strong connection between Princeton and American history, especially the American Revolution. And we'll be talking about that later on.
Awesome.
So in the 1750s, a very important thing in the town was inns. There were 3 inns in the town, and one of them was right on this corner, and it was called the Hudibras Tavern. The reason it was so important was that Princeton is located really right in the middle between New York and Philadelphia. Almost exactly in the middle. And there was a lot of stagecoach traffic that came through here, and people would spend the night here. Library, and it includes 3 underground floors that go all the way into the middle of the street. And they still don't have enough room for all the volumes, so some of the books are located elsewhere in the school as well. So that's the Firestone Library. So now we're going to go back out the way we came, and then we're going to go to the next stop, which is Nassau Hall. So I'd like to just tell you a little bit about the school itself at this point. The school was founded in 1746 by a charter of the governor of New Jersey, and its purpose was to train Presbyterian ministers. It was founded in Elizabeth, New Jersey, about 40 miles or so north of here. And its first pastor was Jonathan Dickinson. And it was in Elizabeth, New Jersey, because Jonathan Dickinson lived in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And after 1 year, Jonathan Dickinson died, and so they needed to find a new headmaster, and they found someone named Aaron Burr Sr. And Aaron Burr Sr. lived in Newark, New Jersey, and so the school moved to Newark, New Jersey, where it stayed all the way until 1756. Now in 1756, there were several towns in New Jersey that wanted this school for it to move to that town, and so there was a contest, a bidding war, and Princeton was chosen as the place where the school was going to move to. The other possibility was New Brunswick, for example. And so in 1756, Aaron Burr Sr. moved down here with his 70 students at that time, and the school began here in 1756. At that time, there were just 2 buildings. This one was built, Nassau Hall, and that yellow building over there, which is called the McLean House, which was the house that the headmaster lived in at that time. So there were just 2 buildings. So this building was built by a very well-known architect by the name of Robert Smith in 1756. It's a classical Georgian-style architecture with symmetrical rows of windows and a very ornate central entryway. It served as the entire school at that time. It was the administration building, it was the dormitories, it was the classroom, the entire building. That was all there was. And so that's why the students needed to live, and some of the students later on needed to live in places outside the school, like the house we just came from, like the Bainbridge House.
The Declaration of Independence was read.
In 1776, during the Revolutionary War, this building changed hands several times. The British took it over, and then the Continental Army took it over, and then the British took it back. So it changed hands quite often in that year. And then, at the end of the year, if you've read this in American history about the fact that George Washington and his army had left New Jersey and crossed the Delaware and gone into Pennsylvania, and George Washington and his army were very desperate at the end of that year because they didn't have enough food and they didn't have enough ammunition and they didn't have enough supplies or good enough winter clothing. And so George Washington took a desperate gamble. Does anybody know what he did? He came back across the Delaware and surprised the British in Trenton and captured Trenton. And he captured a lot of supplies and ammunition and food. And more important than that, it was the first time that the Continental Army won anything. And it made the people in the colonies think for the first time that they could win or they could prevail. So what happened next was General Cornwallis, who was the British general, he was in New Brunswick, about 20 miles from here, and Trenton is about 10 miles from here. He came down with his army of about 5,000 and went down to Trenton. And there on January 1st, 1777, they fought about 3 battles on that day. General Cornwallis of the British and General Washington of the Continentals in Trenton, and they fought to a standstill. And then the British made camp for that night, and they were going to attack again in the morning. But George Washington decided he didn't like it.
And faculty and eat here. Are you going to eat here? Are you guys going to eat at this Ivy League institution? And what would you order if you went to the Princeton University? What would you order?
Mushrooms.
Cheeseburgers.
Mushrooms.
What is it? Grape poupon.
Mushrooms.
Tuna tartare.
If they have grape leaves, I love grape leaves.
Could they get us arrested if we stick our tongues out at them?
Yes.
Let's try it out.